I was thinking about some things, and I had a conversation with somebody the other day, and I kind of came up, I got inspired to kind of talk about a topic, and I'm going to try to do it pretty quick. So um, the point of this video is to how can you change your mindset today, or how can you start changing your mindset today? And I had a conversation uh, with a few different people that was talking about suffering, and it was talking about suffering. Uh, and specifically for me, what I've realized is that my suffering is a choice, not necessarily the things that are occurring in my life, but my outlook and how I'm viewing it. And that kind of wasn't going, that really kind of wasn't resonating with people. We couldn't really kind of grasp that. And then, a term, this is an older term, and a Latin term, kind of came across my, my visual, and it kind of gave me the idea to be able to talk about this in a better sense. And the term is AMOR FATI, which means harness the power of loving your fate. And so when I heard this, and I've heard it before, and it's a Latin word, or it might be Greek. I could be wrong. It could be Greek. But loving your fate, specifically what that means, and what that means to you or anybody else, is that life is happening for you. It's not happening to you. A lot of times, I know in growing, in my own growth, in my own journey, I thought things were happening to me, but they're not. They're not happening to me. They're happening for me. And that mindset, that shift right there, it took me a long time to see it. I had to go through some stuff before I could see, wow, look at that. I thought that was meant to destroy me, or that was very uncomfortable and very unpleasant, very painful. And there was a very dark time for me, actually ended up being the catalyst that pushed me through. And I'm going to speak specifically about myself. And I've also heard this from many, many people. I've spoken to many people in many different forums, from, behavioral health hospitals, to groups, to therapists, to a lot of people, spiritual people, religious people. And this seems to be the same across the board. So suffering. So basically, for me, it breaks down like this. There was a point in my life that I wanted something to change. I wasn't happy with certain behaviors of mine. I wasn't happy with certain outcomes, and I wanted something to change, and I didn't know how. And so, I threw up a prayer. I prayed, or meditated, or I put an intention, an awareness out into the universe, and I wanted something to change. And what happened is that something came into my life that was in a form of suffering. And it's my old reaction, as soon as I would start to experience suffering, or I would be able to look ahead and see that suffering, that's going to be a suffering experience. And it's not that my brain thinks, oh, that's going to be suffering, but it's kind of like a negative. I see something negative, or is going to be painful. My first initial reaction is to move away from that suffering, is to go another direction, right? And so I did this on repeat. And when I do that, it's like the universe says, oh, well, that's what he wants. He wants this peace on the other side of this suffering. So we provide this suffering so that he can go through it. And instead of go through it, I get fearful and I go the other direction. So the universe says, okay, that's cool. So they apply a new suffering on the other side. And as I'm going to that side, I start to see the suffering coming. And then I'm like, oh, no, more suffering. So I go the other direction. And when I go the other direction, then the universe says, oh, we'll place a new one over there. So basically, I end up with like these three spots of pain, or these three spots of suffering. And then I'm believing at the time that, look at all these problems. Look, the universe is against me. Life is against me. And I tried to go here, it said this. I tried to go here, it said this. I tried to go here, it said this. But the point is that I didn't have to go to all three if I'd have gone through the first. If I would have gone through the first threshold, my peace and my serenity and my happiness was on the other side. And I couldn't see this later in life until retrospect. In retrospect, I look back at these tough situations and I'm like, oh, I'm so glad that happened. Even though it was really painful, it looked really horrible at the time. What was on the other side of it was freedom. And that freedom came in many different forms. And still to this day, something suffering will come into my life. And I'm just using the word suffering lightly, but something that's uncomfortable for me. And I will look at that and then I will say, no. I'll say, no. Oh, that looks, that's not the way my life's going. I need to go the other way. But I have to check myself and I have to look at that. And generally, when I talk to somebody else, I have to say, no, that's what I'm supposed to walk through. I'm supposed to walk through that because what's on the other side of that is my freedom, is my happiness. Specifically, this speaks a lot for me for post-traumatic stress disorder. And if you struggle with post-traumatic stress, basically trauma or stress, a stressful event that happened in your life, and you seem not to be able to get out of those thinking patterns, you seem to not to be able to grow, see that life is just abounding for you. Every opportunity to grow and to overcome those things. And it's all just a part of our own destiny, of our own journey. And when I'm able to view life that way, it doesn't matter what's happening. I'm so in love with the process. I'm so in love with my life. I'm living from a place of heart wide open that I'm okay. And I think that's ultimately what we're looking for. We're looking just to be okay. I find this in other groups. I find this with people sharing similar stories, sharing similar experiences because we don't know. We don't know what something is. Something can look very bleak, like you could lose your job. That can look very bleak. That can look like, oh, I don't really know, maybe the universe is conspiring against me. And I'm saying, what if I'm telling you the universe is conspiring for you? And if you wake up in the morning thinking the universe is conspiring for me, and though I'm losing my job, some things have to be cleared away so that I can step into something new. And when I have that mindset, my life is amazing. Life is incredible. So, AMOR FATI, falling in love with fate, falling in love with your life, no matter what it looks like. Instead of choosing to see the negativity and as it meant to hurt you, choose to see it as, I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know what looks like on the other side of this, but I know that life is happening happening for me, not against me. Move with that today. Take that in. Think about that. Comment below. Subscribe. Like. Share this video. Tell me what you think about it. Tell me any experiences that you have. Tell me some stories where something that looked very bleak, looked very negative, looked very difficult, and when you got to the other side of it, how that looked for you. Also, tell me about times where you saw uncomfortability, saw suffering, and you went the other direction, and then the universe lined something else up. It's almost kind of like warning signs. It starts stacking them up. And then once you get to the other side of it, you're kind of like, I wish I'd have just gone through the first time. And if you relate to that, and if you don't relate to that at all, if that's not your experience at all, comment, let me know. And I hope everybody has a great week. I hope everybody's having a great 2023. And I'll see you later on. Bye.